the NFL playoff preview. Now, there's a lot of things that happened this weekend that kind of shifted the momentum of what we're going to see in the playoffs this year. And for one, I mean, this is what it looks like right now, the playoff picture. Now, San Francisco is still on. They are on a. I don't know. They look like they're gonna win the Super Bowl right now. They're in Super
If
Bowl
they
form.
win the 1 seed, I think Kyle Shanahan should be coach of the year.
I
I mean,
agree.
there's a ton of great options this year. Liam Cohen's another great one. Ben Johnson's obviously another. But I mean, with what they've had to deal with this season, George Kittle didn't even play on Sunday, and they scored 42 points. Like
Mm.
that's ridiculous.
Now the Chargers lost against Houston, which was really dumb because the first two drives of the game they beat us when we were in cover four. Like you guys said, the zone has been beating us recently, and we were in cover four, and they just hit a deep post route, deep corner route for touchdowns both times. So I mean, the O line just didn't help out very well. I mean, we played pretty well against the best defense in the league. Otherwise, I know Justin Herbert is he's my MVP if we're talking about the actual definition of the award. But it's just so hard to get it when you can't win games like that because your O line is so bad. Now, when it comes to playoff implications and what teams are going to make it, we got Steelers versus Ravens on Sunday. We got Niners versus Seahawks on Saturday to win that to win the NFC West because the Rams look like they're out of it. They're going to be going to Philly maybe. Yeah, actually they will be going to Philly unless Philly moves up to the 2 seed, which is possible, and then they'll play the Bears, and then you guys would have to play Philly, which would suck. Chargers are probably going to lose without Justin Herbert and a few starters that they're sitting. So they'll drop down to that 7 seed. I don't think the Bills will lose this weekend. I think they play who they play the Jets. I think maybe.
Jets. Jets.
Yeah, so they're,
Yeah.
they'll be the 6 seed, and unless Bo Nix just decides to get exposed, we'll be the 6 seed.
Well, I
And
mean, they almost lost to the Chiefs backups this weekend. So
right, so that's what I mean. So it'll be very interesting to see if we win that game and we sweep the division, where we'll end up. I think we'll still end up probably the 7th, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how it'll work. But if we lose, we go to New England, which is my pick on who I would want to play first round because I don't think they've beaten the playoff team since November, which I think is the Bills. I'm pretty sure.
But
And,
like the crazy thing is
that was
that
back in September.
or
like
who they play? They played a playoff team in November and they won.
It was Tampa Bay, I think, and Tampa
Yeah,
Bay
so which is
didn't.
not really
Like they're
impressive.
out now too.
Right. So Carolina might be winning. And we have Carolina versus Tampa Bay on Sunday at 3:25 our time. So that's also a fun game to look out for because Bryce Young might make his playoff debut and Baker Mayfield might shut away his season because he was looked amazing the first month and a half of football and then he just destroyed his campaign by losing so many games and putting up these worst stats of his career. And I know he has Mike Evans and Chris Godwin weren't fully healthy, but Igbuka is like completely out of the picture now. So it made no sense to me. Their offense makes no sense. That team just makes no sense. That's why I'm rooting for the Cardinals as they have a better defense. Their offense is pretty similar, but they have better running backs. They have a pretty solid wide receiver core. Bryce Young just got to get it together this game. I think he's got to lash out and be the Heisman that we all know once knew him as. So my question to you guys is, as Green Bay fans, before we get into the other teams, who do you guys want to play first round and why? And if you say Chicago, why? Because they looked amazing on Sunday night against the Niners, have been having lost since Brock Purdy got back. So just tell me who you want to play.
I want to play the Bears. I mean, we only got two options. It's the Bears or the Eagles, and I don't know. I just think with division games, realistically, we should have beaten the Bears twice this season if it weren't for Romeo Dobbs, dropping a pass, aka an onside kick. I mean, that's besides the point. But we should have beaten the Bears twice. Now, I don't think it's going to be like an easy game or anything like that, and I would feel not good. I don't really feel good about going into the playoffs against either of these teams, but it's got to be one of them. And honestly, I think the Eagles are sneaky good. I think the Eagles could easily beat LA. I mean, I know that's not as hot of a take as it was maybe before last night, before the Rams lost to the Falcons, but I don't know. I just think that the Eagles are kind of sneaky. I could see them being a champion, getting back to like the championship game or something. Even even if the Bears were to beat Green Bay and would go face Philly, I don't know. I might take Philly in that game. Um, but anyways, getting ahead of myself here. I just think that Chicago, Green Bay, a divisional game. It'll be a decisive third game. In divisional games, they're just you see them twice in the season, so you know, just a little more familiar with the team. And I don't know. I would just I think that would be our best shot of winning would be against the Bears. I really don't see us going into Philly, especially if Philly, is starting to get some momentum. They just beat the Buffalo Bills. They were on such a bad losing streak for a little, well, not a huge losing streak, but you know what I mean. Like everybody was pretty down on the Eagles for the past like month or two. Um, and I think that they're starting to regain a little bit of their swagger. So I don't know. I take the Bears, but
Chris.
I think there's a case to be made for both. I think Chicago, like you said, Nolan, divisional opponent definitely helps because division games are always unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen in them. I mean, we saw the Vikings win with three net passing yards last Thursday. So anything can happen in a division game. I think the Bears are more explosive than the Eagles are, and I guess that would be a quote unquote plus to playing against Philly. Their offense is kind of even on Sunday against what I would say is a somewhat suspect Bills defense was stuck in mud the entire second half. Jalen Hurts didn't complete a single pass. Kevin Patullo doesn't know how to run an offense, really, I don't think. So I think the biggest case for Philly would just be their offense, but Vic Fangio also has Matt LaFleur around his finger. He doesn't know how to scheme against that defense. They sit in too high, and the Packers don't have the manpower at receiver to be able to beat it. So I would say probably Chicago too, because Philly, both of these teams have kind of had the fluky wins this year, where Philly, like the Bills, got failed at the 1 yard line one time, were a yard short from scoring. The receiver was open on that 2-point conversion. Like there have been times this year where Philly feels like they've escaped with wins. Chicago's done the same. But I think for that divisional aspect and the fact that the Packers just don't match up well, they're not going to get to Jalen Hurts at all in that game. That offensive line is just going to hold them completely. I mean, we saw it last year when they were better in pass rush. Like Philly's a nightmare matchup for Green Bay. Give me Chicago just for that reason.
Now, the AFC isn't as scary as the NFC, in my opinion, when it comes to these playoff standings, unless you're playing Houston's defense, and that kind of sucks. But my thing is this for the AFC. If the Bills or Ravens, I think the Ravens will win the division on Sunday, by the way. So I think it'll be Ravens, Houston, or Ravens, whoever's at that 5. The Bills potentially could get the 5 and play the Ravens first round, which would be cinematic because it'd be a rematch of week 1 in last year's divisional playoff round. So that'll be fun. But I think the Ravens, so you can take Pittsburgh out of there. I don't think they have enough juice to win with Sky Moore and Scotty Miller or whatever they have at wide receiver, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I don't think they have the firepower. They lost their 300-pound tight end this weekend with a broken
I think
arm,
there's
so
an
that's not
argument
fun.
to be made that DK punching that fan lost them their season.
Oh, absolutely.
I think
I knew as soon as it happened.
they beat Cleveland in that game. I bet if he's out there, like
100%.
that was a complete horrible decision by him.
Well, they were playing to not let Myles Garrett get that career that sack record, which is weird. But I think the Ravens will get that 4 spot. I guess the Jags will win the division, maybe. If that's the case, then Houston will be the 5, I think, because they beat the Bills. I think, yeah, they did beat the Bills and they beat the Chargers. So I don't think
there's a lot of shuffling that can go on. Like the AFC, honestly, is probably like the more fun side of this week coming up.
Right.
I mean,
I think the Chargers should go play New England. I think that's the best matchup possible for the first round because unless you play the Ravens or Steelers, which is
I mean, the thing with New England is inexperience. Like there's not most of those guys besides Stephon Diggs on offense have never been to the playoffs before. A lot of rookies, second-year guys. The Chargers haven't been there a ton either, but they've also been there twice with Herbert. Even though they haven't won either game, they've at least got the experience of what it's like to go into a playoff game.
especially away. And the only thing I'm worried about with New England is flying across country because that actually does, put a toll on players. Um, Flying from LA to New England is not fun. So um, that's probably my biggest concern, I guess, going there. But otherwise, I mean, I think it's a match made in heaven. It's 22nd in pass rush, which is good for our O line because we're horrible there. And then I don't know, everyone else, like you said, not not as experienced. They have home field advantage, but I mean, if Justin Herbert just plays out of his mind and they actually, don't make mistakes, I can see us winning that very well, comfortably. And then we go to Denver. And then that's when things get interesting because I think that's another game we can win, but that's another topic for another day. Um, the biggest team I'm worried about in the AFC, I would say, is probably Houston because Buffalo
I
doesn't
would
look
say the
great.
Jags could be up there too with how hot that offense has been.
Yeah,
And
but
their
they
defense
barely
is very opportunistic too. So if the
they barely
Chargers,
beat Phillip Rivers though. You know what I mean? So
I
I just
mean
don't
that's
trust.
a
I don't trust Trevor Lawrence in the playoff. I know he's been doing really good lately, but I don't. I feel like the Jags are like either like super like top level, look like a Super Bowl contender, and then some weeks they could just be like, wow, they're just too inconsistent for me. I don't know. It's just I don't trust them in the playoffs.
I mean, but who in the AFC other than Houston lately has been consistent? The Bills have laid some duds this year. New England laid a dud against the Bills in that second half. I mean, the Chargers are kind of like their defense has been consistent, but their offense, they have no offensive line.
honestly, Denver's been.
I mean, Denver's been
yeah.
consistent, but at the same time, they've also won a lot of one possession games. And like I said with the Bears and the Eagles, it feels like a few of them, like even that Giants game early in the season where they scored 33 points in the fourth, like that's not sustainable for winning games consistently.
It can't come back to bite you big time.
I mean, that's why the Texans are my favorite. I mean, I like Houston to come out of the AFC.
But the question with
I'll
that
officially
is too:
put that in
do
there.
you trust Stroud to lead that offense
Yes.
through the playoffs? Like
I do.
I
I
don't.
do because he doesn't need to be like a superstar level guy. He just needs to do enough to let the defense win them the games. The defense is a championship level defense. They are the best defense in the NFL. They have consistent. I mean, they're on a what? How many games have they won now in a row? Is it like 9 or 10 or something like that? It's. I mean, it's crazy. Um, the defense is so good. It's so good. And you think back to like the 2015 Denver Broncos team with Peyton Manning, who was just awful. I mean, worse than Stroud is playing right now by a large margin. And the Broncos won. Their defense carried them into that Super Bowl, and they took down Cam. They held the 15-1 Carolina Panthers with Cam Newton to 10 points and won the Super Bowl. And I could just see something very similar happening in Houston, especially with the what you guys talked about, the inexperience in the playoffs. How many of these quarterbacks? Let's say that it is, whoever gets in there, even if it's the Steelers or the Ravens. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers been to the playoffs a ton. Lamar Jackson been to the playoffs, through most of his seasons that he's played. So that's one playoff experience quarterback. Stroud, obviously, a playoff experience quarterback. But a lot of these guys, you only have like one or two playoff games played throughout their entire careers that are starting in the AFC. Or none, if you're talking about Bo Nix and
Sorry to
Drake May.
interrupt you guys, but I just got a note about I don't know if this is going to impact anything, but Stephon Diggs is facing a felony charge of strangulation and a misdemeanor charge of assault from a December 2nd incident. So, I mean, I'm not
First
saying that
round
that's
They're
exit.
not going to do nothing, but it's the NFL.
First round exit.
I mean, I'm just saying if they do, New England's without their top receiver, just throwing that out there. That could make it even harder for them to win. And Drake May's whole thing is that he lies on efficiency, and if he's
Is
without his
Stephon
top
Diggs their
target,
top receiver, though?
Yes.
I would still say
he
he
hasn't
is.
been playing like a top receiver. But, anyways, what's crazy to me about the AFC, as I was trying to say earlier, the Jacksonville Jaguars could be the 1 seed, or they could be the 7 seed. Like that's crazy. They could literally be any single seed right now, which is just nuts to me that it's just this wide open in the AFC. But that's what I'm saying. It opens the door for these maybe unconventional teams who you might not think. Houston, obviously, in history, they've made the playoffs for a bunch of years now. But in history has always been, I mean, they have never passed the divisional round in their entire franchise history. But this
I
might be
will
a year. It's
say,
been a weird year, and I could easily see Houston getting to the Super Bowl, and I'd say that they are my favorite right now out of the AFC.
I will say that if the Ravens make it in, it could get really. I'm not gonna lie, very sneaky,
I
They're
very
just
gonna
don't
sneaky.
think
have
it's
to
the
lean on
year. I
Derrick
don't
Henry
think
a
it's the
lot more.
year.
That's what I
They're
mean.
gonna have to
If
lean
they
on Derrick
actually,
Henry a lot more than
well,
they
that's what I
have in the
mean.
past.
Yeah,
though.
that's
Honestly,
exactly what
keep
they
Huntley
haven't
in there,
done.
dude. He's played better than Lamar has, and Lamar has obviously battled through so many injuries this season. But Lamar has not played great when he's been out there.
Huntley's not gonna start if Lamar's healthy. If he's 90% ready
Obviously,
to go,
You
obviously, but
can't
I'm
do
saying
that to a franchise quarterback.
No, I
but-
know. That wasn't a serious suggestion,
but I'm just saying Huntley has played better than Lamar
well,
Jackson.
if Lamar wins this weekend and he actually plays this weekend and he goes into Pittsburgh and wins that, they're not gonna start anyone else, and then they have a home game versus either Houston, Buffalo, whoever, right? Like, I genuinely think that the Ravens might be very sneaky. I'm not saying they're going to win it all because I don't know if they will or not because that team is just very wishy-washy. And another question for you guys. If Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen don't at least get to the Super Bowl this year out of the AFC, do you guys think we're going to have some different talks about top fives we're coming in next year? Because
I think
with no
Josh Allen's
Mahomes,
been a little bit up and down this year. You can make an argument that he lost that game for the Bills over the weekend, taking that 20-yard sack on a third down where they could have easily kicked a field goal from
almost lost against the
45 yards
Browns.
out.
He almost lost in the game against the Browns.
Yeah, he's still having some of those Josh Allen performances that we know him for, but he's also had a few more of those clunkers this year where, he hasn't really played up to what we expect from Josh Allen. Like they lost to Miami on the road. We might have to rework our top five a little bit because guys like Brock Purdy, especially, has played out of his mind the last couple weeks. Like
he did the Dougie.
Now,
literally,
if Jalen
Drake
Hurts makes
May-
the Super Bowl again, then what?
I still don't. I'm sorry, I'm not a Jalen Hurts.
I'm just
believer.
saying though. Listen. If Jalen Hurts,
He's had
makes the
2
Super Bowl
games
one more
this
time-
year where he hasn't completed a pass in the second half.
But
that's all I really need to
that's
say there.
3 Super Bowls on his resume if he makes it this year. He doesn't have to win it. If he makes it this year over this heavy NFC team, this heavy NFC bracket, if he makes it again, I know the team's great, but you gotta have some very uncomfortable conversations.
Also, call me
You
crazy.
talk about the
NFC being, yes, the NFC is kind of packed, but the NFC is similar. The playoffs are so weird this year, but the Eagles' path, you think about it, let's say that it's exactly the playoffs started today, it's exactly as it is here. Let's look at the Eagles' path. They get a Rams team who just lost to the Atlanta Falcons,
They'll win
who
that game.
have lost 2 games in a row, who clearly are not the same team that they were a few weeks back. Not
They'll
saying
get
it wouldn't be
Devontae back.
not saying it wouldn't be a good win. Not saying it wouldn't be a good win.
A great win.
But
They were
I don't
number
know.
one all year.
I don't think it has the same, meaning to it as it would a couple of weeks back. But obviously, so they get past the Rams. Then let's say they go to Chicago. You playing the Bears. I know the Bears have looked good, but they've never made the playoffs with Caleb Williams. There's a lot of young guys on that team who have never made the playoffs.
They won their playoff
Would
game.
that
though.
be a huge win? I don't
Yeah,
know. It
going
wouldn't
into
be-
Chicago,
That
it's a hard
wouldn't be
I think
place
it
to win.
would be.
That wouldn't be crazy impressive.
Against Ben Johnson and a new young team. And
I think it's a
Rams
big
team that was
win, but
number
it's
1 all
not.
year.
It's not the be all end all either. I'm not saying I'd be shocked if Philly goes in there and wins with all the experience they have versus the inexperience Chicago has. Obviously, being in Green Bay would be incredible.
point being
for
is
them,
that-
but
My point being is that Jalen Hurts, even if he made the Super Bowl this year, the Eagles are kind of winning in spite of him almost. He may be, and he might go crazy in the playoffs, and then you could have a conversation about maybe he's,
That's
just
what I
a
mean.
super
If he
good
has a
playoff
great playoff
quarterback.
performance.
maybe he's an Eli Manning type
Where he just goes crazy in the playoffs, but he hasn't been good this year. He hasn't.
I agree. No, I'm
It's
saying
plain
though,
and
if he
simple.
makes the Super Bowl and he's playing very well, and if he wins the second ring,
You could have a conversation
mean-
about him as a playoff quarterback, a playoff.
Jalen Hurts. I would have a conversation about playoff Jalen Hurts, but I wouldn't have a conversation about Jalen Hurts.
why?
I agree with that.
That's what people measure everything off of his playoffs. If Jalen Hurts performs very well when it matters,
Well, I would say
Why-
there's
why
a
not?
difference
Okay, well
between
then so
regular
what? So
season
Eli Manning
performer
is a
and
Hall of Fame quarterback then, and that if you're using
Yeah,
that logic.
but my thing is this: everyone always shits on like Herbert for like being a regular season quarterback. Why is it bad that Jalen Hurts is better in the playoffs?
well, I think it's just two
It's- I
different
mean,
things.
obviously
Like
it's
we
a better
said,
it's a
like
better time to be good, but you know, it's you have to be
I mean,
if
like
you want to be in this top 5 conversation, you got to be good all year round. I mean,
I disagree. That's
Yeah.
people measure it off in playoffs. That's
but
exactly why we
I
have a
agree
top
with
5
Nolan
now.
on this specifically because I think Jalen Hurts could be a great playoff performer. Nick Foles was a playoff performer. You could even make that argument. Like he turned up in the playoffs. Like
Well, one time.
I mean, I'm just saying,
That's all
like
he needed.
I'm just saying, like when you have 2 games where you don't complete a single pass and a half, like I'm
Embarrassing.
sorry,
Embarrassing.
I can't put you in the top 5 conversation. And
But weren't you
now
guys
this
just talking about very good? He's an A+ game manager. He
Well,
wins
right,
when it
yeah,
I
matters.
don't even know.
you didn't
In
hear
the
me
playoffs,
talking
though.
about CJ Stroud in the top 5. What are you talking about?
I'm saying
I mean-
I'm saying in the playoffs, if he's doing like crazy stuff, like he's putting up 250 yards, got some rush touchdowns, no touch push touchdowns and stuff like that. Just QB
I mean,
draws and stuff like
we
that.
gotta see it then because like I
We
don't.
have seen. We saw last year.
Well, yeah, but that was with a different offensive coordinator. Like this year, the offense has clearly regressed. Saquon Barkley was a way more. He was dynamic last year. This year, he's been held in check by most teams. Like, I don't know. Like, I want to see it this year because like, most of us would have considered Hurts a top 10 quarterback going into this year, and right now, I'm not even confident he's top 10, much less
Okay, well, I
top
don't know
5.
if I go
Because,
that far. He's a top 10 quarterback for
He
sure.
has to be
but
top 10.
I don't know if I'm putting him in the top.
but
5.
he hasn't played
I
like
guess-
a top 10 quarterback this year.
But he's winning
Let me
like a top
explain
10
it.
quarterback.
Let me explain it like
this. I always say when I have like an argument about who's the GOAT, I say are you talking about who is the greatest player of all time, or are you talking about who is the most talented players of all time? Because like in the NBA, the most talented player ever to play the game is LeBron James. But the GOAT is Michael Jordan because he just wins. So I think that Jalen Hurts, he might move up in that, in like a GOAT conversation type thing. But
I don't know about that.
I don't know
I
about
would-
all that.
We
I
got
don't
this
know about all
disrespectful.
that.
That's disrespectful. Come on.
I will
we gotta
say
stop
give
that.
Sam Darnold his props. He's in a very elite club of
He
quarterbacks
he
that
has
have
been a
back-to-back
system
13 win
quarterback this year.
seasons. But let's see him do something in the playoffs.
I mean, he won 14 games in Minnesota last year, and then he lost right away. So
he got blown out by Detroit and then got blown out
You
by
know, that's
LA.
exactly what's gonna happen this weekend. You know that, right? They're gonna lose to San Fran. He's gonna lose first round again. They lose the division.
I mean, I don't know about all
They're
that.
not gonna
because
lose to
they're not going to
Carolina.
lose to Carolina.
No. I said they're gonna lose. I said they're gonna lose to. Oh, they might. Who knows? I don't know. They might.
Dude, no.
I don't think.
Bryce Young at
I mean,
50.
If they play
I
Tampa,
never
okay.
know,
What if they
but
play Tampa?
That
What if they play
defense is
Tampa?
too good.
If they play Tampa, then
no,
what?
then
They're
that's
not
different.
losing to Tampa. Tampa.
They lost to Tampa
when they-
this year in Seattle.
The key word there is earlier this year when Tampa was playing well. We thought Tampa
gosh.
could potentially go to the Super Bowl at that point. They lost to the Quinn Ewers-led Dolphins this week. Like
Tampa doesn't
this is a
deserve to be
different
in the
Tampa
playoffs.
team.
Tampa doesn't even control their destiny. Even if they win this week,
They're not guaranteed a playoff spot.
They need Atlanta to. Atlanta
Bottom
needs
of the
to
line,
lose,
Jalen Hurts
right?
is definitely better than Sam Darnold. I don't know why
Yes.
that's even a conversation.
But anyways, to finish off my point before that nonsense came up, there's a GOAT conversation and there's a most talented conversation. And when I think of top 5 as we're talking about it, I kind of think of like most talented players. Now Jalen Hurts, he's going to move up in a GOAT conversation if obviously he's not the GOAT. I'm not saying that, but as like the leaderboard, like if you ranked all the players that are currently playing in like a GOAT conversation, he would move up in that conversation if he wins another Super Bowl or gets to another Super Bowl and does well in the playoffs. But he's just not as talented as a Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson, and he doesn't have the numbers that they put up all year round.
How many
So-
Super Bowls has Josh Allen been to?
No, absolutely, and that's just
That talent doesn't do anything at the end of the day.
Well, that
clearly.
goes back to the greatness versus talent argument that Nolan's making. I think to where like Jalen Hurts has been greater than Josh Allen has, but Josh Allen has more talent than Jalen Hurts has. I
Well,
think
that talent
that's a
doesn't
fair
get
way
him
to look
anywhere.
at it.
He comes up short. Same with Lamar. I mean, it's some
No, I know.
uncomfortable
It's because they keep
conversations.
getting stopped by Kansas City, and it's honestly like the year. Of course, the year
That's
that
what I'm
Kansas
saying.
City is not in the playoff picture is the year that they are both having down years.
That's what I'm saying.
with
If
their
neither of
team.
them make it, then what? Then I mean, if Jalen Hurts making it,
I don't know. I
no
mean,
one from
it
that
would
top
be
5 makes it.
okay. Now I feel like the Bills and the Ravens were both like really good teams this year. If they were like winning their division, top seeds, then I could be like, then I would say, yeah, okay, if they don't make it, then something's the matter. But they're both. I mean, the Ravens might not even make the playoffs first of all, and then Buffalo here is sitting at the 7 seed right now. Granted, they should probably move up this week,
That'll be a 6%.
but they're still going to be a wild card team. And at the end of the day, I mean, I will say that it doesn't look good. What's your excuse now? You don't have Mahomes here, but I mean, at the end of the day, to win from the 7th seed or to even get to the Super Bowl from the 7th seed, that is just an extremely tough path. Again, they played. I know they beat New England and they played really well in the second half, but they did not play good in the first half against New England. They've lost to New England once this season. Then they go play Denver, and that defense. I don't know if the Bills' defense would, have the firepower to keep up with Denver. If Denver's able to contain Josh Allen, so it's not an easy path by any means, and neither would the Ravens' path. So I don't know if I can fault them as much as I would if they were like a good team this year. That's when I think you could have the conversation, be like, okay, Al, if they don't win this year, they ain't never winning. Um, they're all having down years. All the good quarterbacks.
I think in terms of roster, this is one of the worst ones we've seen out of Buffalo since Josh Allen kind of rose. Like, there's not a defined super great wide receiver. It's Josh Allen, James Cook in the running game, pretty much. Like, the defense is iffy, I would say. Like, they're not the worst in the league, but they're definitely not a Super Bowl caliber defense, in my opinion. They're going to need Josh Allen to be Superman a couple times if they want to win a ring.
Same thing with Lamar. That team's not great outside of Derrick Henry and him. So
let me pose a question to you guys here before we move off this topic. Let's start with like the AFC. Out of the 8 teams that are in contention, how would you rank them right now? So obviously all the 7 that are in the graphic and plus Baltimore, and then we'll go do the NFC. How would you rank the teams from 8 to 1 as far as who's going to get to the Super Bowl? How confident you are in they're going to get to the Super Bowl?
8, I'll start in the AFC.
Yeah, start with the AFC.
In the AFC, I'll go Steelers 8 because I mean Aaron Rodgers has no help right now and he just did not play well this weekend. 7, this is where it gets kind of tough.
I think you could rank them a lot of different ways here.
I mean 7, I don't know. I mean the Ravens aren't looking great either. Just if they get home field advantage, I think they can be sneaky, but that's all depending on who they play. 6, call me crazy. I'm not a big believer of the Bills, like at all. So I think Bills are at 6 for me. 5, I'll go Chargers because we're wishy-washy still as well. O-line is going to be the death of us, so I'll go 5 there. 4, I'll go Jacksonville. 3, I'll go Denver. 2, I'll go Houston. And 1, I'll go Patriots.
So you're the most confident the Patriots getting to the Super Bowl, you think?
Yeah, I mean, unless they play us, then yeah.
Okay.
I genuinely believe that Chargers can win that game going into New England. That's the best matchup possible. But if it's lined up like this, yeah, I can see New England going to the playoffs or the Super Bowl.
All right.
Now,
I agree with you on that. I don't know if you guys have enough to beat them necessarily, but I agree on that point. 8, I'll also go Pittsburgh just because. I mean, if DK comes back in the playoffs, if they do somehow get past Baltimore this week, it is possible.
Yeah, then it's possible.
They might make a little bit of noise, but like they need DK if they want to do anything in January, like back past this week. Like we said, this is where it gets tough. I think 7. Oof.
It's either Bills or Ravens for me, dude. I'm not convinced by either team right now.
I think the Chargers go in at 7 specifically just because I don't buy your offense like at all. Like I don't think
the line is just rough.
help. Yeah, the offensive line is terrible. The receivers are fine. Like
QJ's been our best receiver for some reason.
I think you guys are just a little bit.
Too.
You guys are a little bit uninspiring. I think Hampton coming back does help the offense a good deal, but like you're kind of okay in my opinion. Like if some of those other teams are having better years, I think you guys don't even make it. But because everyone else is having a down year, you got in. 6.
I don't know about that.
Probably
Those wins.
Baltimore. I mean, like, if their run game gets going, if Lamar finds a bit of health again, like, they might be able to make some noise, but we just haven't seen it. 5. Oh boy. Call me crazy. I don't buy Denver very much in the playoffs. Like, I just
I
don't
don't
see
either.
them really doing much of anything. Like I said, they're kind of one of those teams that they've been escaping with wins all year. Their best performance was against a Michael-less Green Bay for the second half, and even when he was playing, that was probably one of their worst defensive games all year. They did not come to play that day whatsoever. 4th, I'll probably go Buffalo. I don't buy them really that much either. I don't trust them beyond Josh Allen and James Cook. 3, I'll go Houston here. Like, their defense is really good, but I think if you get them on the wrong day, their offense could just completely implode. 2, I'll go New England, and 1, I'll go Jacksonville. I don't know. Like, this isn't so much that I think Jacksonville is like a legitimate Super Bowl caliber team. It's more that I don't really buy a lot of these teams. New England's inexperienced. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Drake May's very efficient, and that's his like selling points. But yeah, I'm just gonna go Jags at 1 because I think they've been the hottest. Like, that's what it comes down to in January football. And like with some of those NFC teams, like I think the Rams peaked too early. I think a couple of these teams might have peaked too early, and we might see that come a couple weeks from now.
All right. Well, you guys aren't going to like my list, but so let's start out with Steelers at 8. Easy one. I agree with you guys.
No TJ Watt, by the way, too. Collapsed lung.
Yeah,
Really
no
Doesn't
TJ
help
Watt.
either.
Even if DK Metcalf comes, I mean, it's just they're not good enough to win. They're not good enough to win. Plain and simple.
They're a 9-8 team, is what they are.
Yeah, whoever, and then I got Ravens at 7. I think whoever wins that one is going out first round, no matter who they play.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I'm not sold. I'm not sold on either one.
I think if you get the Bills in Baltimore, anything can happen.
I think anything can happen that way. I agree.
We'll get to that. We'll put a bookmark in that real quick. I got 6. I got the Chargers. As much as I'd like to say otherwise, I just think the offensive line, being bad. I do think that the Patriots are the best matchup for them. But I just think it's going to come back to bite them. I'm just not confident that this team.
I can see a Joe Burrow run out of Herbert coming soon if we get the right matchups. You give me New England and Broncos the first 2 rounds.
Hey, I'd love that. I'd love to see her go to the Soupy. But I just my confidence level is not there for the Chargers. So
at 5, I'm going to go to the Patriots. I really think that New England, you got 2 wins against teams that are above 500, and they are playing a lot of teams close as well. I mean, obviously not the Jets, but it's the Jets. I don't know. I like Drake May. I like Drake May as much as the next guy. I think he's going to win the MVP, and I think it's going to be, a crappy MVP because I don't know. I guess he's been the best player in the league this year, but I mean,
not really.
I don't know.
CMC really has technically.
I mean, it's a quarterback award. If it wasn't, it would probably be like
it would be Christian McCaffrey, not even close.
Yeah. But I'm just not confident. I don't know. I just think their inexperience, their cupcake schedule is going to come back to bite them this year. And I really could, if they're the 2 seed or the 3 seed, I could really see them losing first round. At 4, I got the Jaguars. They have been good. And look, I like the Jags as much as the next guy. I'd like to see the Jaguars in the playoffs. Never been. I have nothing against the Jaguars, but I don't know. Again, this team just is too inconsistent for me to throw all my support in them and say, yes, I think they're absolutely going to go to the Super Bowl, especially with the teams that are in the AFC here.